Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty RoundTable Radio Talk Show.
Shutdown backfires. BBC caught in lies. Tucker Carlson litmus test. Elon Musk, Utah Valley University. Reuters reports. Trump announces, isn't he announcing stuff every single day? And more, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Liberty Roundtable Live. I'm Sam Bushman. I've got Dr. Scott Bradley with me, freedomsrisingsun.com. Our goal to promote God, family, and country, and to protect life, liberty, and property, and to do so on your radio and TV in the traditions of our founding fathers. Rejecting revolution, unless it's the Jesus revolution, then we're in, because we follow the Prince of Peace. This is indeed Liberty Roundtable Live for November the 7th, in the year of our Lord 2025, promoting God, family, country, protecting life, liberty, and property. It is a freedom-loving, fantastic, faith-filled. We're taking America back, one heart, one mind, one issue at a time Friday. Dr. Bradley, welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Sam, and good morning to everyone. Hope everybody's, I don't know, it's everybody must look forward to a weekend still or something in their work week. So I know you go another day on the radio, Sam, but most people, I think, are saying, hey, I'm so grateful it's Friday. Maybe they'll be able to
repent, because the Lord said 6 days a week shalt thou earn thy bread by the sweat of thy brow. So get her done, people. Let's go. What about that, Doctor?
Well, I think a lot of people are finding their way 7 days a week nowadays. I mean, I'm not so sure.
I'm off that plan. Yeah, I don't want to do it 7 days a week. I got to have some rest.
What do they say? Something about the righteous need no rest, or I don't know what it is. I don't know. All
right. There you have it. Anyway, I work 6 days a week, ladies and gentlemen, because I believe that's what the Lord told me to do. And I don't think life is just a 24/7 party. I get once in a while. It's fine to, as the girls say, let your hair down, or as the guys say, hey, sit back in the recliner. But I don't believe in this, we're just here on earth just to waste our time and party and celebrate and have a big beer bust or whatever they do. I don't believe that's the purpose of our lives. I believe we've been put on this earth by our Heavenly Father. Yes, He's truly our Father in heaven. And we're here for a reason. Number one, to get a physical body. And number two, to learn how to live in that body, to govern that body, to make it subject to the Spirit. They say the Spirit is strong, or I'm willing, but the flesh is weak. We can subject our body to our spirit. We can learn God's laws. We can practice on this earth keeping the laws of God. And if we learn the first law of heaven, obedience, and start to keep His commandments, we have the opportunity to learn about our godly heritage, have the opportunity to keep the commandments and receive the blessings that derive from doing so, or a natural, eternal law result of keeping commandments. Blessings come. And there's some tremendous opportunities as we prepare on this earth to make wise choices, to choose God or righteousness over Satan, evil. And we must learn these lessons while we're on the earth the best we can. That's what we're here for. Yes, there's a lot of work. We should take pleasure in work, not think work's our enemy. We should learn to do the work that we enjoy. I love to teach the principles of liberty. I love to teach God, family, country. I love to promote the protection of life, liberty, and property. That's why I've been here for more than 30 years, ladies and gentlemen. We're doing the very best we can, and I don't think my efforts are more important than another. I just know that if enough of us get involved, hopefully we can turn the tide towards the sacred cause of liberty. With that, Dr. Bradley, first out of the gate, government shutdown may have backfired on Republicans. Trump had to admit to some big losses. The Democrats really had a heyday. They believe it's a mandate across the country. I disagree with that, but I will say it's a harbinger if we're not very careful. We've done nothing for the last 11 months in Congress. Trump has ran all over the place, turning himself virtually into a monarch. On one hand, it's easy to defend him and say, well, what do you do with the do-nothing Congress? On the other hand, that's no excuse to get out of your lane. That's no excuse to violate the incredible protection that the checks and balances provide. So I think the Republicans are paying dearly for this, and they better wake up because they're about out of time. We've got short 12 months till the next midterms. They're already working on a, what do you say, the refrigerator doors are closing. That's what they say in a football game or a basketball game when somebody's about to hey, go get your snacks now because the refrigerator's starting to close. It's like that in politics too, and we're seeing it real time. Doctor?
You've opened a grand can of worms, Sam. And
I never do that. What are you talking about?
You've never done that. But just in brief, the Republicans got spanked, and they try and minimize they try and minimize their they put a spin on it. Oh, it only happened in Democrat strongholds and blah blah blah. No,
and that's all true for the most part. That's true.
But here's the deal: Trump even admits it, and
oh yeah,
and the public are not buying it. And Marjorie Taylor Greene brought some very very germane comments to the
she
public.
Was right as rain. And then they say that she betrayed or stabbed Trump in the back. And this is where, hey, it isn't about Donald, people. I don't know how many times I have to tell you that. This is about the God-ordained Constitution. This is about the United States of America. Donald Trump is just one man, and he has no more authority than anybody else. The only authority he has is what we've delegated to him temporarily as serving president, right? And so we got to be really careful and understand that principle. And I think Marjorie's right on this, Doctor.
What I've said often, and I try to reiterate it every time I get a chance, is most presidents get in trouble during their second administration because they go international and they go tromping around the world trying to leave their fingerprints and footprints or whatever they got on everything. And the Article 2 of the United States Constitution is the job description. There isn't a single shred of anything. I mean, whether it's bailing out Argentina or tromping around the Middle East or sending weapons all across the world or whatever, or even, and I think we can talk about this in a little while maybe, I think Trump's going to get his head handed to him by the Supreme Court in regards to this tariff stuff. But I guess maybe we can get to that. But
yeah, he is going to. We will get to that. It's a big issue, folks. And this is what I mean. Trump's acted unilaterally alone. He doesn't have authority to do so. I'm not pushing back on that we shouldn't have tariffs or that tariffs are a bad idea. I'm pushing back because you need all the right people based on the separation of powers to have a seat at the table, to run things based on keeping these branches of government in their lanes, checking one another, balancing one another, working together in productive, meaningful ways, respecting the difference between the general government and their limited delegated authority and the states with much broader necessary authority. See, we did this on purpose to make sure nobody got too much power. And Trump seems to be thumbing his nose at this. Shame on the Donald. Don't do that. At the same time, it's hard to really criticize him too hard because, hey, we wouldn't even be going to court over these tariffs if Congress would rein in the president like they're supposed to, Doctor, and then lay out, hey, President Trump, you're going a little too crazy as president. We, Congress, matter. And here's what we're willing to do to back you. We put these 10 votes up. We passed these things. We've granted you some finances and some authority to do some of the things that we think are necessary. You wouldn't even be in court if it were like that, Doctor.
Well, the Congress has completely been remiss this entire year. And they're going to take a beating over this thing. And here's what the deal is. I think most Americans just say, oh, well, he's a great president. He stopped the Gaza thing and blah, blah, blah. The fact of the matter is Americans are weighing and measuring, and they're kind of snarky right now. American voters are snarky. And they're saying, wait, is my life what it should be? Have we done these things? And Trump will say, well, we stopped the border thing, whatever. But and that's a good thing. But the fact of the matter is that he basically, Americans cannot see how their lives are improved with everything he says that he has done for America.
Well, and they can't because it's only half real. For example, what has Congress done with regards to the border? As far as I can tell, Congress has kind of sat idly by, let Trump and Tom Homan do what they do. But Congress hasn't really supported that effort in a meaningful way that I know of.
Well, they've passed laws in years gone by, and those laws are now being enforced. But
that's not these guys in Congress right now at all. They weren't even there, buddy.
No, you're right. Most of them, a great many of them.
So they can't
anyway.
take credit for it. Now, don't get me wrong. I support appropriate immigration law, but Congress has the responsibility here to step up, to fund the protection of our borders, to lay out how we can. I'm all for shutting the illegal door, people. Slam that baby shut. But I'm also for an appropriate adjustment in American law that would support proper, legal, appropriate immigration. I don't mind the right people coming here for the right reasons, Doctor.
Yeah, but that's where the big debate is, because the problem is that there are people that would say, come all. We're all down here and we're all going to be okay.
I know, but what I'm saying is it's congressional responsibility to lay that out and decide, hey, debate it, go through it, the pros and cons, find out, let's land in a better place. And they haven't done anything to open the legal door.
I think that we have the most generous immigration in the world. And I think if it's tweaking, it's tweaking. We don't need to have big bash the doors down movement.
I have a question. Can a nation conceived in liberty carry its head high if it denies protection to the youngest and most vulnerable of its citizens? Can a country founded on God-given rights continue to thrive without understanding that life is a precious gift from our Creator? I believe that great nations and great civilizations spring from a people who have a moral compass. I don't think a civilization can long endure that does not have respect for all human life, born and not yet born. I will be in earnest. I will not equivocate, and I will not excuse. I will not retreat an inch, and I will be heard. One thing I promise you, I will always take a stand for life.
This is a battle between truth and deceit, a battle between forces that would enslave this country in darkness, and between a media that wants to present you with the truth. We are being censored. America's news outlets no longer provide the truth. 90% of news outlets in the United States are controlled by 6 corporations. The mission of the Epoch Times is to chase the truth, to ground all statements in fact.
TheEpochTimes.com.
Looking for an IT partner that truly understands your needs? Managed IT Services is the answer. We meet with you regularly to discuss your goals and form a tailored technology plan. Our customers have called us a trusted advisor who delivers. When it comes to IT, we do it all. Firewalls, cloud storage, server migration, and more. Say goodbye to long-term contracts and hello to a team that earns your business month after month. Call 801-706-6980 now and let Managed IT Services transform your IT experience.
All right, back with the good doctor, Dr. Scott Radley, freedomsrisingsun.com, yours truly. We're talking about immigration. We're talking about the Republicans. Yeah, they're in a bad situation right now. The government shutdown probably is backfiring. They should have done what I really recommended to Mike Johnson and company. Stay at work. You're being paid, by the way. And move forward single piece legislation that would be proved up and down votes of who's for what. Just call it on the carpet. Call a spade a spade. Hey, we're going to fund the air traffic controllers so we don't have an economic problem. He should have been doing that over the last month plus. He's done nothing. Now they're already shutting down more government, affecting the economy, affecting you and I. Eventually, if it goes on longer, affecting our Thanksgiving, possibly our Christmas, who knows? Or they're going to come back with some deal that just, is no good for anybody, which is what they usually do and what they'll probably do. They'll open the government with a big, beautiful bill of some kind, spending us into oblivion, and everybody will try to take claim for the win. Nobody really wins. Everyone will lose. Okay, but I digress. The reason that I'm bringing this up is on immigration specifically. I think we need to shut the illegal door, no doubt. But and Dr. Bradley says we've got too much immigration. We've got the most liberal policy in the world. I agree with that. But the problem is the policy is fraught with all kinds of problems. Amnesty always seems to be at the door. But what we really need to do, in my mind, is put together an immigration plan based on justice and mercy. And I actually wrote a plan. Believe it or not, I've probably done more on immigration by writing my own plan than Congress has done in the whole year they've been supposedly needing to do something about this. What I would do is create a justice and mercy plan. We're bringing a lot of the wrong people to America. Criminals, especially rapists and murderers and people that are let out of other nations' prisons and this kind of stuff. We've got to have hardcore justice for those people. No doubt about it. Take the criminals out of society and protect America. That's the real only proper role of government, is to protect we the people from enemies, foreign and domestic. That's the purpose of government. If you don't accomplish that and protect my life, liberty, and property, what good are you at all except to steal my money? Anyway, I digress. But then you can move more towards a mercy plan. If somebody's been in America and they've been hardworking and they're here illegally, hey, is it a crime that they're here illegally? Absolutely. But we can find a way to say, hey, you've been here for 10 years or 20 years or whatever. You don't have any felonies or any problems. You've got an employer that'll vouch for you. Maybe your employer can pay a fine for hiring you and employing you illegally. You can pay some kind of a fine for how long you've been here. You can start paying your taxes. And we can work on a way to bring you above board. And you know what? We can create a sliding scale in between and judge each case. The first thing you'd say is, hey, all you illegals, surface yourself and declare yourselves so we can know who you are. And if you don't, we're going to be hardcore justice on you because now you've committed 2 criminal acts. One, you're here illegally, and number 2, you're trying to hide from the government. If you don't have anything to hide, then, you know what? Come aboard and let's put together a sliding scale justice mercy plan for you. I really think something like that needs to be worked through and done, but they've done nothing, Doctor, that I know of.
There's a whole bunch of problems with what you've proposed, Sam. And one of which is that every time, undeniably every time, there has been something done. Let's just take the 1986 Amnesty thing. Okay, you brought up Amnesty.
Yep.
Oh, we're only going to do it once. We got this many.
No, we can't do amnesty.
Sam, just a minute. Hold on, Sam.
Yeah.
We opened that door, and they said it's going to come open again. Get there as quick as you can. And so since then, our immigration illegally has ramped up. We legally allow 1 million people a year, to come in.
Yeah.
And we do vet those people. If they come in the front door using all the proper procedures that have been established, Article 1, Section 8 says Congress has the responsibility to establish those things. But what Congress and the president have done, and I admit the administrations in recent time have been very remiss in keeping the rapists and the drug dealers and everybody out, but we're not bringing them in. They're coming in because they're saying, hey, baby, they keep saying, if you get there, we'll figure out a way to keep you there. And so what needs to happen is we need to absolutely abide by a reasonable process by which legal people can come and stop saying, hey, anytime you get here, you do so long enough, we're gonna lower the bar and let you in for free. And so they keep coming in for free, hoping that we'll change the policy. And we do. We keep doing it. And right. This idea that everybody gets a free pass if they can just get here. A nation that can't or won't defend their borders they're at risk of no longer being a border. I mean, a nation.
So I've put together a plan that says, hey, let's shut the illegal door entirely. I've put together a plan that says, hey, we've got to put people in categories. It's not 100% every illegal here is as bad as the other guy. There's got to be a sliding scale of some kind. I have said take amnesty off the table, have people pay a debt to society for abusing society and not following the rules and the laws. So I put together a pretty cogent plan about justice and mercy, and a plan that takes amnesty off the table, and a plan that says, hey, the more criminal you are, the more justice-oriented we're going to be. The less criminal you are, the more we're going to find ways for you to pay back your responsibility to society, to repent for coming to America illegally. I put together a pretty good plan. Here's the question for you, Doctor. What would your plan be?
My plan would be, let's take control of the borders. And again,
okay, so
I have
shut
not
down the illegal activity, right?
If we have to shut the borders completely, now that's very unlikely. And honestly, it shouldn't be done because we do have trade and we do have reasonable things, but people now have a legal process that they can go through to get into the country. I have a very, very good friend that's here off and on. He's absolutely a by the book, by the numbers kind of guy. There's probably any number of ways that he could come in illegally and ultimately and finally, by your plan, be okay. But he says, I'm going to obey. Okay. I'm to be, look, God gave us commandments for a reason. God has an immigration plan. I mean, he does. You can come back and live with me if you abide by these plans or these rules or these commandments.
If you don't abide by the rules,
then you can't come here.
Hold on. There's a time where you can repent and change, though.
There is,
but you can't make whole the past, though. Take illegal A that say been here 10 years. Let's say they've worked and they've made money and they haven't paid taxes because they're whatever. What do you do with that person now to make it right?
Okay, let's address those issues, but you can't open the door.
What do you do to make it right?
Probably the best thing to do would be say, go home, apply properly, and come back under the rules that come in. You don't go into God's presence in heaven and live there until things have been appropriately addressed where you come in.
That's right.
I mean, so he has an immigration plan.
I understand. What we're talking about, though, is appropriately addressing what's already happened. Okay, that's what we've got to deal with. How do we do it? Let's say we have 50 million illegals in the country, or 30. I don't know the number. Tom Holman can't tell me the number, so we can't know. We can only guess. But what do you do with those people? And I say the more criminal-oriented they are, the more we need hardcore justice. They're not repentant. They're not willing to change. They're not willing to try to obey the rules of the laws or the whatever. But what do you do with people? There's a sliding scale of people that are here. Should they be here? No. But is uprooting their families and at what point do you say, hey, if every one of them goes home, will the farmers be able to farm? There's a lot of questions about some of that stuff. And that's why I say we got to create kind of a sliding scale and update our laws to match what would make sense. Right now, I don't think we have that. Somebody who wants to come here legally through the proper channels might have to wait years to get that done.
Reagan and the Congress in 1986 did exactly what you said.
What?
Reagan and the Congress in 1986 said all the oxen free.
No, but I didn't say that.
But Sam, now listen, it opened the door for tens of millions to come in.
I agree it did.
And now we're going to give them a pass too?
No, we're not. I told you we're not doing amnesty.
Well, if somebody gets here and they've been here for 5 years and you figure out a way to keep them here, that's amnesty.
I don't agree. And the reason why it's not amnesty is amnesty says no harm, no foul. We're going to start afresh.
You can have lots of amnesty angles if you want.
Well, if you say leave the country and come back legally, that's amnesty too.
No, you can't come back until you apply and come through the proper process.
Yeah, but it doesn't pay any debt or any harm for what you've done in the past.
You may have to pay those debts before you can get approved. I mean, there's lots of angles that could be played to say
so the question is, if I walk across the border, if I take a step across the border, and then they let me in for free, and I take a step back across the border, and then I owe a debt to society versus I say, hey, you've been here 5 years, your taxes would have been, say, $50,000. Therefore, you've got a payment you're going to make to the taxpayers of America monthly to cover that debt. Hey, what's the difference? We can make them step across the border and step back, but the principle you and I are talking about is identical.
Well, they've got to be properly vetted, but what is you're proposing is going to be as complex as reparations for people that descended from slavery. Every single individual is going to have hundreds of thousands, maybe not hundreds of thousands, but probably hundreds of different loops and hoops and push points and the adjudication on this thing and everything like that.
So let me ask you this question. Do you think what we've got in place legally is the way to go?
Yes.
Okay. And I think differently. I think we need to update our immigration plans. The reason that the border leaks like a sieve is you've had enemy presidents lead an invasion, which is a problem. Second problem is that it's not possible to come here legally very easily if you're willing to do it correctly.
A million people a year do. A million people a year, Sam.
Yep. And the question becomes, are they the right people? Right? Maybe we have to suspend and say nobody can come for the next 5 years while we deal with these other people that have to pay back their debt to society. I mean, there's a lot of ways to go about it. That's why America's stuck on stupid, though. Hey, nobody can agree on anything in America, and so therefore we're paralyzed. Illegals keep coming in. Good people trying to come to America can't get it done. And what we're going to do is we're going to argue about it. And if you step across the border and step back, it's not amnesty. But if you say you don't have to step across the border and step back, it is. I'm saying no freebies. Let's create accountability and create a way forward. We got to start where we are is the point. We'll talk about it with Dr. Bradley. Hang tight.
How would you like to help this program reach more people and earn silver at the same time? Call or text 801-669-2211 for complete details.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. They say they're nervous, dreading what may come next. Anxious flyers at the country's busiest airports. The FAA is cutting the number of daily flights by 4,000 in order to give those people up in the tower a break.
Flight reductions are being imposed to relieve pressure on air traffic controllers who are working without pay during the government shutdown and have been increasingly calling off work. Airports in New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago are among 40 of the busiest where flights are being cut.
White House correspondent Greg Clugston. There are hints of a deal in the works to end the government shutdown now in day 38. But after being involved in a meeting with Senate Majority Leader John Thune, Senator John Kennedy says he is more confused than ever.
We're going to have some kind of vote on a bill package, approach bill package. It'll be a CR to open up government until a date that they're apparently still debating. If they know, if Senator Thune knows, he didn't tell us.
Ending months of speculation, Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik has announced she is running for governor of New York State. Last month turned out to be a big month for layoffs.
U.S.-based employers cut more than 150,000 jobs in October, marking the biggest reduction for the month in more than 20 years. A report by Challenger Gray and Christmas said on Thursday, as industries adopt AI-driven changes and intensify cost cuts. Tech firms led the job cuts in the private sector, followed by retailers and the services sector.
That's correspondent Bill Alexander. 13 dead, 9 still missing following the cargo jet crash this week in Louisville, Kentucky. On Wall Street, the Dow is down 132 points, the Nasdaq off 280 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hey, it's Mike Gallagher, host of The Mike Gallagher Show. I don't mess around when it comes to saving you money. Right now, rates have dropped to the lowest level in over a year and a half. That means if you bought your home or refinanced in the last 3 years, you could be saving hundreds of dollars every month. Lower your rate, lower your monthly payment, even kick that pesky PMI to the curb. And get this, you can skip 2 full months of mortgage payments. But that's not all. Fellowship Home Loans just rolled out something incredible. Their very own HELOC and lines of credit. Approval in just 5 minutes. Money in your account in as little as 4 days. It's the easiest system you've ever used. You can do it yourself online. Whether you want to pay off bills, tackle a home project, cover education, or even a wedding, Fellowship Home Loans makes it simple to leverage the money that's already sitting in your house. Just go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, or call 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending guided by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
Have you ever had great honey? No, I mean really good, all-natural, raw honey? Well, now you can, thanks to localhoneyman.com. We can ship out our locally made honey all across the U.S. So don't worry, you won't miss out. Plus, Local Honeyman has so many different flavors, like Utah Wildflower, High Desert Delight, Happy Valley, and Blackberry, just to name a few. So purchase your delicious raw honey today at localhoneyman.com.
As you are aware, America is divided over every fault line possible. This is intentionally fostered by those who do not love God, family, or country. We believe a peaceful future as a free people absolutely depends on civility. Clarion Call for Civility is looking for funding and volunteers at every level to make our hopes and efforts a reality. Please donate, sign our pledge, and help us in our sacred cause. Please visit callforcivility.com for more details. Callforcivility.com.
Imagine a school where faith and integrity are at its center, where heritage and responsibility instill character, where educating both hearts and minds brings about academic excellence. There is a school in American Fork where character and embracing the providence of a living God are fundamental, where students' national test scores average near the 90th percentile. Based on LDS principles and a love of country, now in our 39th year, American Heritage School is accepting fall enrollment for kindergarten through high school. What would you do for your child? Give them an education that will prepare them for life. Located east of the Temple in American Fork, American Heritage School is a remarkable and affordable alternative. Visit us, find us online, or in the Yellow Pages. American Heritage School in American Fork.
All right, back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. Immigration is a hot topic for sure. I think it always will be. I agree with Dr. Bradley that we don't want amnesty. We don't want to just let a bunch of people in for free and give them, quote, forgiveness on the back end without some repentance and work or penalties on their end. We agree 100% on that. I believe we need an upgraded immigration plan that basically deals with a lot of these illegals in ways that are productive. And the problem is we can't even define what amnesty is, right? So with that in mind, we'll never get to the bottom of the immigration problem. And I would hope that we could come to some common sense understanding, but I don't think we can. I think America is completely broken because, hey, no one's willing to, in my mind, work on solutions. Right now, they're going to put together another big, beautiful bill, Doctor, to prevent the government shutdown and open up the government. And how many food stamps we're going to pay to illegals? Don't know. Can't know. Right?
Well, part of the problem is that let's just take the immigration thing. It's been nearly 40 years coming up, in a month or so since that came on. They created laws. Ted Kennedy was working on this years before that, and every step of the way, they have never obeyed the laws, never. So you come up with this big, beautiful plan that they're going to do immigration on, and everybody says, hey, yeah, I know what the rule says. But it's, you know what, it's okay. Let's just go do this, and we're going to get another free pass sooner or later. Yeah, you say it's not free. You got to pay a fine or something like that. But the fact of the matter is, it is never, if you have never abided by the law up until this point, what makes you think it's going to happen just because you wave a magic wand? And then let's leap again to this big, beautiful bill that was on the news just a minute ago. That's not really what they're calling it yet, but apparently Kennedy is scratching his head over what the Senate says they're going to do, and I'm pretty sure if he doesn't understand what they're going to do, I definitely don't understand it. And so really and truly,
I understand that they're going to sell us all south. And they're going
that's exactly.
Spend us into oblivion. I can tell you that right now.
Well, right now we're over $38 trillion of admitted debt, growing unbelievably fast. They've never had a balanced budget in they've never been able to reduce the debt. Let's put it that way. They occasionally say, hey, we spent about the same amount we brought in this last year. But honestly, by the way, this goes back to the election too. A lot of the people are saying inflation hasn't gone down. Our prices are still high. I mean, I kind of track the diesel fuel prices because that's what I put in my truck. But diesel's I've never seen it more expensive in my neck of the woods than it is right this very minute. And so here's the problem.
What is it right now?
We have inflation because they pumped out so much money. I mean, for the last decade, there's been an unending spigot of money being printed.
That's right.
And poured out upon society, and prices have all gone up. Kids will never be able to afford a home. And so it's just one of those things you say, housing will come down. Well, it'll collapse if it does. And so what we're doing now is just the wrong medicine. And we keep pumping more money out, as you point out. And we're making an assumption here, but I'll bet it's true. I'll bet it's true that whatever they come up with is going to add more unvalued money that's just thrown into society.
Dishonest money.
You bet it is. And we're not going to get an improvement based upon making the system work. Worse.
So do we agree on immigration, though, that Congress is supposed to kind of set the stage of how immigration works in America?
Article 1, Section 8 says that absolutely.
All right, so we agree there. We also agree no amnesty. And then I'm saying that we need to update our laws a bit, and you're saying they're great the way they are. And we both agree that, hey, they're not going to obey them either way.
I think that if they're not great the way they are, the tweaking that it would take is not going to be it's not going to be abided by anyway. They're going to disobey every single thing until the next time they get.
I guess we just give up on this discussion because we can't. There's no way forward. It is what it is, right?
No, we've got to correct what we've got. So stop it. Stop doing what you're doing. That's got us into the problem, and start correcting what's been wrong.
So lock the border down tight.
No, that's not it either, because we've got to do trade. We're going to have.
Yeah, I know. Don't lock it down 100%, but lock it down tight to where we don't have an illegal immigration problem.
Correct.
Let trade happen. Obey the laws that we've got on the books.
Yep.
and then, hey, work towards improving those laws to possibly have greater penalties for disobedience, possibly have greater penalties for the violation of those laws. But here's the final immigration question for you. If you lived in a country that was dangerous and you fled to America or left your country or came here for the right reasons, maybe for freedom, maybe because where you lived weren't safe, would you come here illegally?
Sam, we have laws that allow people to come here.
Yeah, I know.
That come here because of the issue you just talked about.
Right.
But economic opportunity is not one of those reasons. If you're facing death and destruction, you can be looked at. The law exists right now. You can come to the border and say, I'm at risk of being put to death, whatever. Those things can be evaluated and adjudicated and decisions can be made.
Agreed.
But the fact of the matter is that those laws have been completely tossed out. Under Biden, everybody that came in said, here's your pass, go on in, here's your airplane ticket to
Yeah, you don't even need to meet up later for your adjudicated process. You're just here.
And they
won't keep track of you. We don't want to worry about it. I agree. But would you come to a nation if you needed, if you felt like there was a reason to, even if it was for better economic opportunity, would you come illegally?
No.
Okay.
And that may sound like an absolutely nonsensical thing to you, but here's the deal: laws and everything. If they're basically a law violator when they come in, what's going to stop? Now, I'll just take an example. I know I've had some of my children that have been involved in the Chinese problems and issues. Very, very, very many, including 600,000 that Trump's let in to go to college. You know, military age boys that are coming in. Come on, 600,000. What could go wrong here? But the Chinese people have kind of a hierarchy of countries they try and immigrate to when they can, and you know there's different countries around the world that they have better access to until the ultimate goal ultimately is the United States. There's no question. But everybody doesn't qualify to come here. A step back from that may be Canada. A step back from that may be Australia. A step back from that may be the Philippines. But the fact of the matter is that that everybody that wants to come has to find their path. And ultimately and finally, they can do it. But devotedly seeking after those things and following the path that's legally allowed, I mean, to crash the borders. I mean, if you want to get into a nightclub or a restaurant or a movie theater and you don't have a ticket, you can't go in. And so everybody has to follow the rules. You can't get into heaven without following the rules. There's an immigration plan and path to heaven, but you can't just, hey, when you get here, we'll figure it out. It's
I understand.
God has
so stealing
plan.
is wrong. Stealing is evil. But if you're starving, would you steal?
I would attempt not to, but if I had to, I probably would. Sam, you're putting your fine points on this thing to make points that do not apply. And I think that absolutely.
And what I'm saying to you, in many people's minds, circumstantially, economically, and everything else, I would submit that it's a very similar thing, that there's a hierarchy of morals. And I might actually come to a country illegally if I felt like I had to. It wouldn't be my choice. I'd rather obey the law and do it right. But I might do it if I felt that I had no other options.
You have options. There are many options. And it isn't just to crash to get into the theater you want to be in. God is going to have hard, fast rules. Except a man be born of the water and the Spirit. No unclean thing can enter the heavens. I mean, you look at all the scriptures that are out there. You can't come in unless you abide by the immigration policy.
That's right.
And so
I'm saying, because of the way the immigration policy is now, and the problem is nobody obeys it, you're 100% right. But because of the way it is, I think a lot of good people can't come who want to, and a lot of bad people who shouldn't be here are here. And it's a mess. And I think there's a better way to work through that and vet that process. There's a better way, not giving amnesty, but allowing for repentance so that people can be admitted to God's kingdom or the equivalent thereof, right? There's got to be a repentant way forward, or a way somebody can make amends for the wrong that they've done.
See, here's the deal. Again, we go back to the most generous immigration policy in the world that we have currently. And by the way, the policy is that only certain percentages can come from certain countries.
Right.
And the reason is we are a great melting pot. And if you had a whole bunch of Muslims that came in, like from Syria, and you had 5 million come in, or you had 10 million Chinese, or you had 20 million Mexicans, I mean, you pick, they bring their culture with them.
Of course.
And if they will not integrate, so the law currently says we will take so many people from each of these different mixing pots. We have not done that. We don't do it. And now that I think about it, I'm going to give you a quotation that Thomas Jefferson said. A country can't remain a country if we do stupid, and we're doing stupid. And I guess we're going to have to do this.
So we'll get your quote right after the pause. We'll come straight to it, ladies and gentlemen. Look, we're not here to argue with one another. We are here to help you think about some of these details and decide what you think, right? That's what you need to figure out as an American. Hang tight, Liberty Roundtable Live.
Bypass the mainstream narrative with Liberty News Radio at libertynewsradio.com. Engage with charismatic hosts live or on demand. We cover the crucial news focused on God, family, and country. News that other networks simply refuse to use. Think of LNR's hard-hitting news and podcasts at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere. Join us at libertynewsradio.com. Empower your day with the truth, because the truth will set you free. libertynewsradio.com.
Introducing Managed IT Services from NPI. We offer top-notch data backup and recovery, email spam protection, and network security tailored to your needs and budget. With 20-plus years of experience in the medical field, our HIPAA-certified consultants know what it takes to protect sensitive information. Don't settle for less. Give us a call at 801-706-6980 and experience the difference with Managed IT Services. Remember, your IT support should be fast, efficient, and reliable.
As the United States boldly stepped forward in the glorious light provided by its new Constitution in 1787, the nations of the earth were in awe of the newfound strength and hope of this free land. Today, the nation stands at a crossroads. A divergence from the original intent put forth in the United States Constitution has brought grave threats to our beloved nation. A miracle is needed if the United States is to survive. That miracle is again the pure application of the United States Constitution. I'm Scott Bradley. In my To Preserve the Nation book and lecture series, I bring forth truths that will help raise up a new generation of statesmen like those noble Americans who founded this land. Vigorous application of these principles will invigorate and restore the nation, and we may become again the freest, most prosperous, most respected, and happiest nation on earth. Visit topreservethenation.com to begin that restoration.
Okay, before the break, I had the audacity to try and bring the wisdom of the Founding Fathers into the conversation. Can you imagine? I've never done that before. And
it's a good plan.
I suggested that Thomas Jefferson might have something to say about this immigration policy. And I've quoted it before over the years that Sam and I have been bantering about on the radio, but here's the statement. And I hope you've heard it, and I hope you remember it, and I hope you will remember it this time. This is a direct quote from Thomas Jefferson. Every species of government has its specific principles. Ours are perhaps more peculiar than those of any other in the universe. It is a composition of the freest principles of the English Constitution, with others derived from natural rights and natural reason. To these, nothing can be more opposed than the maxims of absolute monarchies. Now, I'll take a quick pause and parenthetically remark, that's where most of the immigrants were coming from, monarchies, the United States in Jefferson's day. But what is happening now is we could put socialist governments, communist, social, whatever, Sharia
That's
law,
right,
whatever.
for sure.
Okay, so nothing can be more opposed than the maxims of absolute, whatever our immigration sources are nowadays, going on. Yet from such we are to expect the greatest number of immigrants. They will bring with them the principles of government they leave, imbibed in their early youth, or if able to throw them off, it will be in exchange for an unbounded licentiousness, passing, as is usual, from one extreme to another. It would be a miracle were they to stop precisely at the point of temperate liberty. These principles, with their language, they will transmit to their children. In proportion to their numbers, they will share with us the legislation. They will infuse into it their spirit, warp and bias its direction, and render it a heterogeneous, incoherent, distracted mass. End of quote. Now, here's the problem. You just had New York vote to become a communist city. You have large swaths of large communities and cities in this nation right now that because of the immigration policy, not completely, I mean, we have all sorts of deleterious effects coming from our own stupid people that are seeking office. But in many, many instances, we find that the legislation that is occurring right now is infused from other non-American philosophies. And as Jefferson said, they will infuse into this legislation their spirit, warp and bias its direction, and render it a heterogeneous, incoherent, distracted mass. And I would say to you right now that America is being reformed, reshaped by those that come to this country and want to build Sharia law here, which is unconstitutional to the nth degree because the supreme law of the land does not allow honor killings and such nonsense. It's an error in a religion, at the very least. But right now, we have people that have brought their socialistic perspectives from Mexico, let's just say, or from China, let's just say, or from whatever country the great mass of people are coming from, and they want to infuse into our laws their false principles that do not follow liberty. And so
you and I agree on almost everything. The only thing we have left is, hey, what do we do about it?
People need to understand that every single stinking time, to put it more strongly than that, every time we say,
that's right,
we're going to adjust it a little bit and we're going to smudge it here and make it fit here, and 1986 is a good example, we are where we are right now because of the last major efforts that we made to snudge it in the way that they...
But all I can do is go forward, not backwards. And so no matter what, we're here where we are. And the question is, what do we do about it? That's the only thing you and I are disagreeing about. Conservative consensus crumbles, ladies and gentlemen. Division deepens over core immigration policies. I think the policies are not up to the task as part of the problem. Dr. Bradley thinks they're great. That's the only difference. We agree on the problem for sure.
Well, I don't think they're great, but we've allowed ourselves to be undermined to the nth degree to the point we are in danger of losing this republic.
But either you think they need to be changed or you think they need to be left alone.
No, let's fix it first, and then let's make adjustments as needed. And the fixing has to do with let's not give everybody and their dog around the world that wants to come for the freebies here ultimately a free pass saying, hey, guys, look, it's going to be tight for a while, but the guys that are there got in, they got their golden ticket to Willy Wonka's factory, and we're all going to get in there sooner or later. And honestly, that's the only thing that's happened. We have diluted and polluted everything in recent decades. I mean, it's before
that's
years
a fact.
Here.
That's right.
So the problem is you can't.
We agree on the problem. 100%.
Well, it's a freebie. I mean, well, okay, you say, oh, well, they're going to have to pay a fine. There's going to be hundreds.
Well, I said they're going to have to pay
thousands.
penalties. It might be a fine. It might be leaving the country. It might be, making sure you have a sponsor, that you're a productive member of society. I mean, there's all kinds of ways. But again, all we're talking about is I'm suggesting that we need to change our policies. And you're saying, hey, the policies are fine. And, the real question is, what do we do about it now? We both agree that we need to lock down the border from illegal immigration the best we can. It doesn't mean close the border 100% so there's no trade, but it does mean we prevent illegals from, being in America. The only question is, how do we identify and deal with the illegals that are already here? They already have a Willy Wonka free pass.
And the problem is that
they have one. Now, do you take it away and kick them out of the country by force? Do you, what do you do? That's really what needs to be discussed. The problem is we can't even have that discussion, I don't think.
No, you can say deport and take your assets that you've built here, voluntarily deport, take your assets you have, your bank account should build up, sell your house, go back and build your own country, whatever. But the problem is what you're suggesting will take millions, tens of millions of adjudication cases, tens of millions. I mean,
I
probably
agree, 100%.
50 million. Can we establish new courts that will be captured too, by the way.
Yes, they will be captured. And can we establish new courts and do all that? No, we can't. So
but
now the question is,
required.
I understand. So now what do we do then?
Deport voluntarily, take your assets, and apply to come back in. And you know what? That, like I say, it's the freest volunteer immigration system in the world. We take 1 million legal immigrants. 1 million, Sam.
Okay, so you're saying lock the border down and everybody here must go. 100%.
If you're here illegally, you can sell your assets and go.
If you got brought here as a 6-year-old by somebody who was a trafficker, and so you don't know where they are now, and you're alone in the country, you're 6, you just send them on a plane. They're gone.
The hard cases make hard law, Sam. That's an aphorism that has to be. If you have a case like that, fine. But what I'm saying is, if you got here, you came of your own volition illegally, you got to go home.
Okay, what about the 25-year-old that's like a DACA person or whatever else?
Okay,
They got
so
brought
let's
here
say,
as a little kid. Now this is all they know.
DACA is an amnesty program.
I understand. Doesn't have to be, but it is.
It is.
It needs to be changed. It is. You're right.
An amnesty. I mean, so what you're doing is saying, get here, get your kid here, turn them loose, and once they get there,
I'm not saying going forward do that at all. What I'm asking you is,
but
the 22-year-old that's here. Hold on, the 22-year-old that's here.
No, you.
All they know is America. What do you do with them,
Sam? Go home. Here's the problem.
Okay. You make them leave.
If that
when you say go home, though, they don't know any other home. They might not even know their home language or their cultural language.
Look, if they've learned what a great country America is right now and what freedom really is, they can go help change their country. Stop for a minute and think. If you get a 22-year-old kid that gets citizenship, now they invite all of their aunts and uncles and cousins and friends and brothers and sisters and moms and dads, and they get chain immigration.
Yeah, and that's what we have now, right?
It's wrong.
I know it's wrong. And so we need to make sure that it's wrong and that the penalties are greater when that tries to happen. Right now, we don't have any penalties in place. We need to update the penalty. So it's a difficult discussion, ladies and gentlemen, and you can see why America is going to melt down. Okay? Society is going to melt down because there's no way for us to agree on a single item in America anymore. They have balkanized the country so much to where we can't even agree on basic fundamentals of what do we do. Right?
The basic fundamentals are there. We just got to abide by the rules and the laws. And if there's a real stringer of a wild card out there that you say, as you point out, the hard cases make bad law. But let's look at those things. But by and large, broadly, virtually everybody that came here has come here and the law has been violated. And Plyler v. Doe, the 1982 Supreme Court case, complicated it dramatically. And so the Supreme Court has been in the weeds on this thing too. So we have complicated the mess to the point that we've kind of got to say, let's take a new deck. Let's start redealing. I mean, somehow this deck has got tainted and we're going to have to fix it. But if we don't do something, you're absolutely right. This last election, as small as it was, a midterm of a midterm, demonstrated what happens when you get large-scale mass immigration and they bring their own philosophies and infuse it into our country. And Mandami's in New York now, for crying out loud.
That's right. And so, ladies and gentlemen, where we go, I don't know. I agree with Dr. Bradley. We got to fix it. That's what I was saying. There's just a difference on how Dr. Bradley would fix it and how I would fix it, right? Dr. Bradley would have everyone leave. I don't think that's possible to make happen because people won't voluntarily do that. You'd have to by force make many of them leave. There'd be women and there'd be all kinds of family difficulty. There's not great answers. That's a fact. All right, hour 1 in the can, hour 2 coming up. We'll switch topics. We can't even solve the problem when the government, when the media lies and gets caught. We can't solve that either. We'll tell you about that. But why are we finding out 5 years later will be my question coming up. Why is it 5 years later that we find this out? Hang tight. You're watching and listening to Liberty Roundtable Live. Check out Dr. Bradley's website, freedomsrisingsun.com. Check out lovingliberty.net. God save our republic.